Hey, wedding creatives. Are you ready to learn our step by step system on how to earn 2 to 3 times more per year through multiple revenue streams, all while expanding your creativity and propelling your wedding business forward?
You're invited to our new free training happening this January called the Revenue Blueprint. By diversifying your revenue streams, you can create consistent year round income and the freedom to build the business and life you truly want. And we will show you exactly how inside the free training, the Revenue Blueprint.
You can save your seat today by heading to thelevelupco.com/blueprint, and we look forward to seeing you there.
This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich,
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
and we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Hey, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Level Up Podcast. This is the very first episode of a brand new year, 2025, and I'm sitting here with my friend and co host, Kelley Gilster. How are you, Kelley?
Hey Taylor, I'm good and I'm so excited for this new year. There's so much on the horizon for our community. I think we even talked last week about like what we are headed into, what are our goals. We love a new year, we love goal setting, and this is the year where we are holding ourselves to those goals. It's not just like any other year, you guys. We're holding ourselves to it, and we want to keep you guys accountable too. And so we have some really fun things on the horizon, including a free training. Taylor, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so this is something brand new. We've never done anything like this ever before, which makes it so exciting. As somebody who I feel like I thrive in novelty, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but like anything new, like just brings me to life. And so I'm just over the moon excited. We're like deep into planning out this free training. It's called the Revenue Blueprint. And you guys have heard us kind of tease this concept over the last few months here on the podcast, on Instagram, in our Facebook group. Links to all those things are in the show notes below if you want to check them out. But Kelley and I are huge on transparency. We think that the only way to help our community and our industry thrive is through complete transparency. And we've been sharing a little bit of what we've been doing outside of weddings, which is in big part Level Up, this brand, the podcast that you're listening to, and all of our offerings tied to it. Kelley and Paul, her husband, have a thriving corporate commercial brand, and we also do a lot of like digital products and stuff. And so we're essentially going to be bringing you into our inner circle through this workshop and showing you exactly what we have done in order to scale our businesses to the points to where they are. And we'll get more into numbers in the workshop, but we've added multiple six figures to each of our incomes through these diversified revenue streams, which is that's like life-changing money. And I don't say that to brag at all. I say that because we are so excited to be sharing with you guys how you can achieve the same thing. So I don't know. I just like feel so giddy. It feels like Christmas morning for me.
It does. It really, really does. And when we started teasing out this concept of what's ahead, we got an overwhelming response from people who were excited about this. And I think it just goes to show that people are ready to solidify, take control a little bit of their revenue in sometimes an ever changing market. The wedding industry, it ebbs and flows. As we know, I've been doing this for this summer will be 15 years. So I have definitely seen the wedding industry. When I first started, the country was in a deep, deep recession. Weddings looked a little bit different. As the economy grew, weddings kind of blew up. As social media grew, weddings kind of blew up. Pinterest, people like keeping tabs and one-upping each other and all that stuff. So, and then, you kind of also start to hit some tougher times in the economy. And so basically, I think in the last couple of years, coming out of COVID, right? We're coming out of 4 years now, 5 years?
5 years. Oh my gosh, five
Jeez.
years. That's a
Wow,
wild.
half a decade. Yeah, so coming out of COVID, the wedding boom we saw, things kind of simmering, 2024, really kind of being an off year for many, and the the one thing that has just
Mhm.
remained constant for Paul and I, was because we diversified. And so through the ebbs and flows of, kind of an ever-changing market, one thing that did remain constant for us was our income, and that was due to diversification.
Well, I mean, it's like the age-old saying of don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And I think it's super smart. I mean, for those of you who share an interest in, let's say, like investing with me, I can like nerd out about that all day long. We have investments in our personal lives like spread out across like multiple categories and accounts. And I think that's something that we really should focus more on when it comes to income, especially as entrepreneurs. I think that so many of us in the wedding industry learned through COVID that weddings are not always going to be, at the same volume or dependability
Sure
when it comes
thing.
to income. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Okay. So I have been seeing all this talk about, like, the bird flu and, like, how it might be, like, COVID 2.0 as far as, like, protocols through, like,
Jeez,
government
I hope
agencies.
not.
I
I'm
really
pretty
hope
sure
not.
California right now is in, like, a state of emergency because
Yeah,
of
like,
this.
all the chickens and all the cows having the bird flu, and I don't know if you saw, but, in Washington State, there was, like, an animal sanctuary and, like, multiple, like, I wanna say, like, 8, like, large cats, like, died suddenly overnight from contracting bird flu, like, they're, mountain lions and things like that. Anyway, I think it's gonna be fine. I don't wanna be, like,
Yeah, I mean, we're
fear-mongering,
not
like,
using
that's
fear
not the point.
tactics or
No,
anything
no, no, no.
here.
No, no, no. I'm just saying, like, those are just examples of times when the wedding industry was susceptible to world events, and I think that as much as we love weddings and we think that they are necessities, the truth is that all weddings outside of signing a marriage certificate is truly a luxury. And so the market will fluctuate based off of how comfortable people, like consumers, are with spending money. And sometimes, especially in the luxury industry, like obscene amounts of money on their weddings. And that's going to go up and down depending on how people are perceiving the world to be, how the economy is, all those things. So, by diversifying your income into multiple buckets, if you will, you're going to be able to withstand any of those changes, withstand uncertainty, and have just more overall confidence when it comes to providing for yourself, for your family, for whoever you're responsible for. So, especially for those of you who are in, like Kelly, in your case, where you and Paul, this is your sole income. You guys are entrepreneurs. There's no other money entering your bank account. Whereas I do have a husband who has like a solid like employment through something more stable that's not going to ebb and flow with the market. But even with my situation, I still want to be sure that money is going to be entering my bank account through my business too.
Yeah, I love, Taylor, what you just said a second ago, where you said that diversification can bring you confidence. I have found that to really be the case in my situation, that I was able to stop booking out of fear, out of necessity. And because I had multiple revenue streams, and it didn't start off with how it is now. I didn't have like a digital product, and I didn't have the corporate commercial revenue stream that we have now. I didn't have the education revenue stream that we have now. Um, but just by stepping into that world, it really opened up so many opportunities for me. And it's things that I wish that more creatives would go after and do. And so that's why we're so excited to bring this free training to you guys, because we're going to show you that it is possible. It doesn't have to be expensive to get started.
No, that's the best part. Like Kelly and I, sorry to interrupt you, Kelly, but we are like queens of just like making it work. Like to this day, Level Up. So, I mean, we've shared all of our numbers, right? So, Level Up made just under $400,000 in 2024. And we're hoping that it continues to grow this year and in years to come. And we still have not had anyone do our website for us. It's all DIY. We DIY'd our logo, we DIY'd like all the stuff, and we just now, tw 22 months into being in business together, finally had our very first like branding photo shoot done where we paid a photographer to take photos of us. Like everything has been DIY up to this point. So if that doesn't like say a lot to you, then I don't know what will. Like you really don't have to put the cart before the horse when it comes to like dumping money into your business. Like you can be really thrifty and have it thrive right out of the gate without any like initial investment for the most part. Like it's all like very small numbers, right? So it's not very expensive to have like an extra domain like for your website, things like that. And actually I do want to talk about this. Like this is going to be teasing a little bit what we're going to be talking about inside the training, but kind of the idea between a cash injection and a revenue stream, this is something that like we're big into making sure people understand the difference. And so just like a little preview. So where we see a lot of people attempt to diversify their revenue and unfortunately like not see very much success is when they're trying to do it in the strategy of cash injections. And what that means is they are utilizing their existing wedding brand, whether you're a planner, you're a photographer, a filmmaker, a florist, whatever it is. Like you're just using that primary brand and trying to get a couple quick sales of whatever it may be, whether that is an in-person workshop, whether that is digital products, whether that is creating branding imagery for other people in the wedding space, whatever it is outside of your general wedding offering that you're offering to consumers, you're trying to then sell those things to your existing audience. So, for example, like my Instagram handle is Taylor Petrinovich, my wedding film brand is Taylor Petrinovich, and that would be like me trying to sell courses through Taylor Petrinovich, and that just isn't going to work. Like you might see a little bit of success, like selling one, two, three, but you would not be able to scale to the point that we have with that method. And so inside the revenue blueprint, we're instead teaching you how to create consistent and dependable income streams that are more scalable. So instead of having quick little wins of $1,000 here, $1,000 there, we want to help you build like into at least like the five figures, if not the six figures, as far as this diversified income stream. And maybe we should like talk a little bit about the ways that we have diversified our incomes to kind of get some ideas flowing for people because heading into 2025 and no wedding season is certain until it's over. Like we don't know how it's going to go until we're closing out those books on December 31st. So we don't know what the year has to come. So maybe people do want to start exploring these things. So obviously we do education, right? So we have our podcast, which our podcast does not make money. Like we do this for free. Our Instagram is for free. And really the only way we make money is through selling like our mastermind and our courses. Um, so that's one way. And as you've noticed, we've separated those brands from 618 Studios and Taylor Petrinovich. We've created a whole new brand, right? And the same can be said for Illume Let's. So like Kelly, what if 618 Studios tried to sell presets?
Yeah, that actually I thought about doing that in the very beginning because I didn't, and I think it's just an awareness, you guys. Like, and honestly, it's what so many other people do. And so I think that a lot, if you're an outsider looking in and you're seeing people just throwing up, something on their Instagram stories saying, hey, I'm taking like a couple mentorships, book like a call now. And then you're like, oh, I guess like this is kind of how we like make a little bit of extra money. I'm going to do that too. And so it takes more strategy than that, right? And so that's why Taylor and I are teaching something totally different, that is going to, just really, really serve you for in the long run, right? Okay, so Illume Let's, I very quickly realized that I don't know, I just kind of, not to say that it didn't like that I didn't know, but I kind of just felt like I couldn't market my LUTs in the way that I needed to and wanted to be able to make life-changing revenue results if I were to sell it underneath 618 Studios. And it would be confusing to my 618 Studios ideal client if I were trying to do that. So this is why it's just all separate. Um, inside of inside of our program too, like I'll be telling you a little bit about why commercial corporate doesn't live underneath the same brand as 618 Studios. So you'll kind of notice that there's a common thread, Taylor and I separating the Level Up Co. Out from our primary wedding brands. And that's like honestly our huge why behind diversifying too is that yes, it's incredible to diversify and we believe in it so, so much. But we also equally believe in the fact that we teach a very proven method onto how to scale your primary wedding brand into the luxury market. And we don't want you to water that down. We want that to stay like true to all the work that you've put in, to the ideal client that you want to speak to. And so by diversifying, we're not going to be giving you tactics that are going to, you know, I don't know, Taylor, what am I
Cause
saying?
yeah, like, it would cause confusion.
Yeah.
It would actually deteriorate your trust in, like, in
Hmm.
the brand. It does all these bad things, and that's not to say those 2 worlds can't cross over on occasion when done strategically, but it should not be the default or else you will water down your brand. And
Hmm.
we've seen it happen a lot of times, guys. So we're speaking from experience and from observing it happen organically with people that we know. And we don't want that for you. We want the best for you because we love you. Um,
And yeah, and then, like, even mistakes that I made, like, I made
yeah.
so many mistakes along the way when it came to diversifying, and, like, I want to give that strategy and, like, what I learned because, again, we love transparency here in the Level Up Co., and tell you exactly, like, what worked and what didn't work, and the hard lessons learned along the way so that you don't have to also, and you can start creating a solid revenue stream without, 2 years of, "Hey, I'm just trying to, like, throw darts at a board and see what sticks." Like, we can tell you exactly what's going to stick and what's going to work. And so this free training is going to be I don't know, I'm just so happy too, Taylor, that we're doing this in January because I think people are recharged and ready for, I don't know, new heights, trying new things, being a little bit more adventurous. And so I really think it's coming at the perfect time.
Yeah. It's I okay, so I'm full of motivational speaker type quotes and things like that, but it's the epitome of you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take and like the what is it? It's like the magic is in the work that you're avoiding and like all this stuff. And it's like sometimes you have to go way outside of your comfort zone to get results way outside of what you've already achieved. Right. So that's what we're hoping for you guys. So continuing kind of the talk about like uncertainty, I think that do think that it falls under like 2 buckets, right? So we have like like national scalable events such as COVID, or we just came out of an election year. There's been talk of a recession, all those things. So all of those things, those categories, those world or national events are affecting everybody in a pretty equal manner. And we've experienced that firsthand if you've been in business since before 2020, right? But I would also say that uncertainty in business can also be highly individualized. There are some years when everyone in your town, everyone in your market is booking like crazy, but for some reason you're not, and you really can't put your finger on why. Or your geographical area for whatever reason is having a downtime when the rest of the country is having an uptime. And that could be due to like flooding or hurricanes or whatever it may have like kind of affected your local market's ability to have weddings, or I don't know, there's lots of different variables that can happen. Or maybe even like for those of you out there who are venturing into parenthood for the first time and having a baby for the
Mhm.
first time, maybe you want to take on fewer weddings because being away, it's hard. There's a lot of reasons why maybe one year or another year will be down compared to your average or what you would expect. And I think it's really great to be able to kind of like tip the scales back to a balance. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see my hands doing like the scale thing. Um, and you can do that by taking complete control and by offering the world something else using your existing knowledge and skill set. Actually, I thought that was important to note. So we're not out there saying like go start like selling clothing in a clothing boutique. That is not what we're saying. We're saying we're taking what you've already learned working in the wedding industry, whether you are a photographer, filmmaker, planner, florist, makeup artist, whatever it is, you're taking that knowledge and you're now applying it in a different way into a different ideal client, right? So for corporate commercial work, which is something that we're going to be talking about a lot for both photographers and filmmakers, like you're taking your skill with a camera and now just applying it in a different way. For education, we're taking our special sauce, like what Kelly and I just do exceptionally well and that we are good at teaching, and we're applying that knowledge base in a different way. Instead of applying it to our own businesses, we're helping others. Digital products. Kelly, you were already really great at color grading. Why not create a preset so others can achieve the same results? Right. So you're not going out there and like learning a whole new skill set. You're taking that existing knowledge and applying it in a different way that maybe you would have never considered. So that's what's really cool is like we're almost like recycling. It's a sustainable
Yes.
approach, guys.
So, yeah, of course, we're talking about uncertainty within the wedding industry. There's lots of different factors that can cause uncertainty, as Taylor just talked about. But one thing that we haven't talked about much, which Taylor kind of hinted on, is just like uncertainty in personal life. So, Taylor, you used the example of possibly someone wanting to grow a family and knowing that having a baby is expensive and there's a whole nother health insurance plan to pay for. Like as entrepreneurs, like as Paul and I, we don't have, like, we pay for our own health insurance, and each individual child on that is like another plan and all that stuff. Childcare, like when you want to continue working, like childcare costs, like if you've been noticing, are insane in America. And honestly, when we had our first son, was when so he was born in 2019. I launched Illume like a month before his first birthday because that first year of becoming a mom, I was like, wow, I don't want to just like shoot more weddings and be away from him more in order to fill the gaps needed to stay on top of like our rising expenses. But so that's why I was like, okay, I need to create a loom to pay for childcare. And, like, I just wanted it I had these goals of, like, okay, I want a loom to be able to cover my cost of childcare every month. Well, and little did I know, I launched a loom, like, 2 weeks before the pandemic hit, and then very quickly, a loom had to, like, cover our mortgage. We didn't really have childcare anymore because, like, we were all not seeing anybody, but it had to cover our mortgage, and so I had to, like, get scrappy and figure it out, and I'm here to tell you, like, all of those methods too on, like, what I learned and what's gonna work for you when it comes to digital products as well. So, I feel like diversification really, really saves you from burnout. If Paul and I hadn't diversified and we just needed to, instead of, I think back then we were still shooting like over 20 weddings a year, like between 20 and 25 weddings a year. If we were like, okay, to make up this difference, we need to shoot like 4 more weddings a year, 5 more weddings a year. We're closer to 30 now. We would have burnt out. We had done 30 weddings before in the past, and it, like, left us burnt out at the end of the year. So, we knew the writing on the wall had already been etched, and so, yeah, that's why we look to diversification. And I love too, Taylor, what you said, that it doesn't need to be a completely new skill set. You're simply creating a product or you're offering a service parallel to the talent that you already have. And then we're just going to be able to show you how to gain the clients that you need, how to market to fellow businesses, to be able to use your digital product, to learn from you in education, or to use your services in a corporate commercial branding way.
Yeah, I think that's, like, such a key one is marketing, right? If you don't have clients or customers, then you don't have a business, if we're being totally, like, frank here, and marketing is how you get clients, and all of us in the wedding industry are very used to marketing in a certain way, and that is Instagram, and by using Instagram as a relationship building tool and as an extension of your portfolio. We have talked about that extensively. But what we have not talked about is how we market our other revenue streams, so education, corporate commercial, and your digital product, because it's a completely different marketing game. It is a 180 difference, and I mean, I don't wanna, like, be too extreme here, but I feel like we've cracked the code. I feel like we've grown really quickly. We're making a substantial amount of money, and that means we're doing something right, and we're, like, passing along the secrets to you guys, which is very exciting because marketing, like, people get degrees in marketing. Marketing can be a very complex beast, and it doesn't have to be scary. It's just you have to understand how it works, because it's more complex than posting an Instagram reel and crossing your fingers that it might go viral. That's not how it works. Um, okay, so you were talking about like growing your family and increasing expenses and all those things. And I think that even if you're not growing a family, naturally, through either inflation or I've heard it being referred to as like lifestyle creep, which is like as you get a little older, as your friends become more established, you want to start spending money on things that you really never did before. And so life just becomes more expensive. And when it comes to making more money to be able to afford those things comfortably, there are only a few ways we can go about being able to afford those things, right? So, booking more weddings or diversifying or raising your prices. Those are like kind of the three ways, right? And we don't always have complete control over some of those things. We just really don't. And because we don't have complete control over, let's say, like quantity of weddings that we're booking, it can create this almost scarcity mindset kind of downward spiral where you're needing money, you're kind of feeling desperate, you're feeling anxious, you're like, "Oh my gosh, if I don't get inquiries, I'm going to lose my house or I'm not going to be able to afford to go on that vacation that I really wanted," or whatever it may be. It can be like anywhere on, you know, the spectrum of like survival versus having fun, and all of those things are equally valid, okay? We all have different lives. But sometimes that scarcity and that anxiety and those kind of desperate mindsets can creep into your wedding brand through different areas that we really help our students navigate, making sure they're not doing. So things like running public sales, things like saying only 3 spots left, and like those kinds of things, which may seem like they're coming from a place of abundance, but it's actually doing the opposite to your audience and making you seem slightly more desperate. And so by instead creating a diversified revenue stream, you don't have to feel that anxiety. You don't have to feel that scarcity mindset, which is going to also help your wedding brand make sure it's like stays in integrity. So I mean, it's totally fine to like need more money, want more money. I think that's super like natural, especially as you begin setting higher goals. Maybe you're saving up for a home, maybe you're trying to pay off your car or your student loans, or you're having a family or whatever it may be. Whatever reason you want more money, I just think that in order to not seem desperate, more or less, like diversifying is a safer choice than trying to book more weddings, right?
Yeah, no, and I like
Okay.
how what you said too about like, oh, maybe it's like a big goal that you have, like buying a home. And that was actually another reason for diversification is, oh my gosh, for so many years, Paul and I tried to crack this code. So we started our business in 2010. I would say we reached 6 figures with our wedding brand probably within the first 2 years. Um, by 2012, I would say it was hitting 6 figures. Not multiple 6 figures, but just it hit six figures. So we're in California, we're in Southern California. Many people assume that weddings are happening all year round, which sure they can, but honestly, we do kind of fall into a certain like weddings are kind of from April to November, early November, really, because then we hit the holidays. And so what would happen from 2010 to 2017 was that we could never figure out how to like just get ahead to gain traction in being able to save for a down payment for a home. Like that's what we like really, really wanted. So for 7 years, we were like, this is never gonna work. We're never gonna be able to buy a home because we work, 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 work. And then we and then we hit November, we hit the holidays. then you kind of live off of wedding bookings. That's it. And then we were kind of like at the same time, like dipping into our savings. And then we were kind of like stuck. And I was just like, for some reason, we were stuck in like our savings always being stuck at like $20,000. We could like, we could build it up and then we get depleted. And then the next season would start. And then we'd build it up and then we get depleted. And then we'd like pay taxes. And then it was just like, this is so frustrating. How are people doing this? Um, and and then it wasn't until that we were like, okay, let's look outside of weddings. How can we're talented? Like, how can we use our talent in other ways? And that's when we started to get a little bit more strategic, not the right way. We like didn't know what we were doing for like 4 years before we got serious about things, but that's when we started doing, commercial corporate and then doing digital products, and it was like, "Okay, like, this is it. This is how people do it." Like, we bought our first home, and then we bought a second home, and we were able to keep our first home, and now that's a rental. Like, that's the other thing that's cool too about diversifying with your talent in different ways is that then it bleeds into so many other areas of diversification in your life. So like we're able to purchase rental properties. So we have like another layer of diversification that would have never been possible if we were just shooting weddings.
Yeah, it was funded by the diversification. Yeah.
Yes.
Anywho, you guys, we're like super passionate and we want everyone who's listening to this explore the level, like the idea of diversification. We think that if you're capable of working within the wedding industry, whether you're a photographer, filmmaker, planner, you're capable of also diversifying. You've learned so, so much. Imagine all the things you didn't know before you got into weddings and how much you've learned up until this point. And one thing is like, even if you don't, let's say, so like for me personally, like I would probably not ever get into like corporate commercial, but there's some people who would love that. I like more of the educational route. And something that really stuck with me that I learned by listening to a podcast, I wish I could remember who said it, but is as long as you're one step ahead of somebody else, you have something to teach. So you don't have to be like sitting at the very top. You don't have to be like Jose Villa or like Lynn Easton. I mean, of course, if you get to that point, that's amazing. But you don't have to be at that level in order to bring value to help other people change their lives and to make money from it. You just have to be one step ahead. So, in other words, like if you were a teacher in a classroom, all you have to do is read one chapter ahead of the class in order to teach that chapter to the class. And that's kind of how I look at it. So, if you feel like I have nothing to offer in at least that avenue, just remember that if you're functioning in the wedding industry, you have something to teach to somebody, and there's somebody out there who can learn from you. So, I feel like that's very eye-opening to the possibilities. And you also may be thinking, because Kelly and I have said this multiple times to each other, like, wow, there's 3 different ways that are also distinct on how you can diversify. And the answer to that is you're right. There is corporate, commercial, education, and digital products. And we're talking about all 3 in depth.
Which is
So
a
it's a
little
lot.
wild. I feel like we were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, but you know what? We've done them all and we've done them successfully, so we just wanna share them all with you." That's basically what it is. Um, and and so if
It's
you're
like a
sitting
3 for
there and
1.
you're what was that?
It's a 3 for 1 sale.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you're sitting there and you're like, "Okay, I like this concept. I'm a little intimidated still, but I'm interested in learning more," come to our free training, The Revenue Blueprint. We are going to show you and just uncover like a world of possibilities for how this can happen for you, and we're so so passionate about it. We probably would have launched another round of mastermind around this time of year, but we felt called to share just a new avenue for people. A lot of our past students are going to be in this free training. We would love for you to be in this free training as well. And just kind of giving something new to the industry that I actually don't really think there's a lot out there when it comes to the wedding industry.
I haven't seen anything. Yeah, no, I haven't seen anything, and I am chronically online, and I feel like I would have seen it if it exists. So, if you're wondering how all the people do all the things, hop on in. It's actually not as complicated as you probably think. It's highly attainable, and you should put it on your 2025 vision board or your 2025 goals, or as I've been seeing on TikTok, your 2025 bingo card, which is very fun.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, like, "This wasn't on my bingo card," or "This was on my bingo card." Diversification should be on all of our bingo cards for this year.
Yes, I agree. So, one more time, that link, thelevelupco.com/blueprint. We really hope to see you there. Something that's different, if you've been to any of our past workshops, this is different. This is not a workshop, it's a training. It's one day, and there are 3 time slots for you to choose from. And you do not have to go to all 3. It's like you pick which one works best with your schedule. And unlike past workshops that we've hosted, they are happening at a variety of like different times of the day. So we have one at 10 a.m., one at this Pacific time, 3 p.m. Pacific, and noon Pacific over 2 different days. So we really wanted to make sure we made it as accessible to the most amount. Wow, grammar. I'm not great at grammar today. The most amount of people possible. That is not correct, but you understand what I'm saying. And replays will be available. So if you can't make it live to any of those, that's totally okay. But if you come live, you'll get something for free from us to you to help you in your diversification journey. So we're hoping that you do come live because it's always more fun that way. It's like a party.
Yeah, I love it. I love doing live things. It's so fun to see everybody where they're joining us from. We get to answer your questions live. And so good. Love it. Please come to the Revenue Blueprint. I hope you guys have a great new year. Thank you again for listening to us and being a part of this community. 2025, I can feel, is going to be such an exciting year. And so we're so thankful that you're here.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.